What's going on, everybody? This is AJ Capasso here, host of Talking with the Source, and I'm here with my special friend today. Go ahead, my friend. Introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Nando. I'm part of Portal to the Paranormal, and thank you, AJ, for inviting me on as your co-host this evening.
Dude, I'm so happy that you were able to come on, man. I mean, you're always there, though. I appreciate it. You're a great friend, and honestly, I can't say thanks enough. But I want to jump right into this, man. We have an awesome team with us today, and first, what I want to do is I want to actually shout out Global Ghost Hunt, because right now this team is part of Global Ghost Hunt. They're going to be with us in May. It's going to be amazing. So I want to bring on Jody and Lisa from P.I.T. Let's bring them on right now. How are you guys?
All fine.
Good. How are you?
Good. So, guys, first question I want to ask you is, I'll start with Jody. How did you get into the paranormal? Like, how'd you start liking the paranormal? How'd you get into it? Did it start as a child or start when you got older?
Well, actually, I'll try not to bore you too much. It did start with me as a child. Actually, I thought paranormal was kind of what I thought was normal was actually paranormal at the time. My great grandmother was a herb witch for the holler. I don't know if you know what those are or not.
No,
basically, they're the medicine women for the family hollers. Back in the day, you couldn't run to a doctor, so you'd see the herb witch, and she'd mix you up some to make you feel better or help you. And she would have weird little sayings and so on. And one of the first things I can remember was she would sometimes go, "Buddy, you want to see something cool, nice?" And I'll be like, "Sure." She's like, "I'll make a tree bark." And I thought I laughed at her. I was a little kid thinking, you can't make a tree bark. And she's like, "Well, go out there and take a look at that tree over there." Walked out there, and you know how a tree branch will split after it's been broken for a while?
Yeah.
Well, when I walked out there, that was moving back and forth like it was barking. Yeah.
Wow.
She had a little pink bowl that when she'd string green beans, she'd fill it up and tell it to go empty itself. It'd slide to the end of the table, dump it, and come back. Stuff of that nature. So as I got older, I realized that wasn't quite normal, but there wasn't really any way to prove it until about 1992, 93. You guys know Coast to Coast with Art Bell?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had a guest on. I forget who he was, but he claimed this guy could take a tape deck in the graveyard and get voices of the dead. Shortly after that, me and the guys, my first group or whatever, we were a bunch of teenagers, started walking around graveyards at night. Now, mind you, this is Greenwood, Kentucky, 1990 or 92. And if we were caught doing something like that, instant bad juju on us.
Yeah.
But we started finding some pretty interesting stuff even back then with just our tape decks and 110 cameras.
Hey,
and
the old stuff work,
from there. Huh?
I said the old ways work. I love the old ways. Just a digital recorder sometimes, just that alone can be a golden thing.
Right. The worst thing was back then was the pictures. It cost about $6-8 for a roll of 24. Compared to the thousands the team does now.
Yeah.
I shudder to think how much that would take.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that would be definitely a lot. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a buddy that obviously uses a we lost him. Oh, there we go. I have a buddy that uses obviously a Polaroid, camera, and he'll be taking a ton of pictures. So I mean, he goes through a lot of money with it, obviously, but I know what you mean. That's why I love having the digital, cameras nowadays. But there's nothing like the old school, the old school style cameras. I don't know what it was, but it's just like for some reason I feel like they captured something different. I don't know what it is. Not something different. How do I put this? Like in a word that they captured.
More organic.
Yes, more organic. Yes, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you kind of knew what I was talking about.
I think with the Polaroid cameras as well, you know, where they're printed as you've taken it, that comes out with the,
Mhm.
you know, you can't, you know, I'm a big thing, you know, let's be real with the paranormal. You can't fake. So if you've got anything for a Polaroid camera, it's very hard to debunk it.
Right.
You know, if you get something, you know, how are you going to say this ain't real? Because you can't, like technology now, you can adjust the images that you're taking through digital cameras and things like that. So I think Polaroid is a really good way of still, you know, using that as part of your investigation.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. So, Lisa, how about you? How did you get into the paranormal?
I'm kind of fresh into it, and I think that as I have thought about things, my mom sort of had dreams and visions and things, and she would kind of talk to us about how, like, if my mom didn't want my dad going out on a motorcycle or something like that, you know, she'd let him know, and maybe something would have happened if she hadn't said something. And one time, whenever I was 16, then my stomach was kind of turning as I was heading out to go to work, and it was raining, and it was my first time driving in the rain, and so I thought, well, maybe it's just nerves or something like that. But I ended up hydroplaning and rolled over 4 different times over on the other end of the side of the road. Because I didn't listen to my intuition. So, then in 2019, then I went on a vacation with my niece and my aunt. She took us to several different places, and that kind of helped it grow. And then shortly after that, I ended up going to the Haunted Majestic and for a ghost tour that they was doing. And the kids ended up talking to some of the team, and then they invited us to join, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is real. Here I am. And now I'm kind of engulfed in it and started, participating a lot more. And even so, more than my kids. And I'll be like, my kids, you guys got me into this, and now you're not even interested in it anymore.
That's funny.
And just a question with regards to both of you. So you now have your teams and everything. Now, I know from speaking to loads of different people in the field, they have different ways of how they begin their investigations. So some people believe in protection chants, you know, to keep them grounded, you know, certain prayers. So before you go ahead and start your investigations, do you have like sort of thing that you do on every occasion before you start your investigations?
Well, normally my math physicist, he starts prepping himself, and the people who are more apt for those type of attacks and so on. I'll be honest with you, me and myself, I'm like a rock to whatever entities are out there. And in fact, they would probably not want to follow me home because they would be instantly turned to lab rats. Yeah. In fact, I'm sitting across from an entertainment center that came from a case that the owner said it was possessed by his ex-wife. Well, I've been sitting and I watched it for months. It's not done a thing. But normally what we do is we go in, me and my case manager. I normally let the case manager talk with the client, and we try to get a more in-depth of how the family lives, a little more history on how long they've been there. I find that in most cases, when you go to a client's house, people are more open with female investigators than they are with male investigators. Yeah. I've always considered myself kind of like Herman Munster when I talk to people. Even though I'm trying to be nice, for some reason they act like they're scared. Yeah. So I listen, and then normally I'll start taking base readings and so on. And then once we get through with that, we'll go outside, and by then our metaphysicist will have put up the shields or whatever they need to do, and we let him go in. And I don't know if you guys know much about hunting, like if you're going after a coon or a possum or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the hunter uses the hounds to search out where the critters are, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what my metaphysicist does. He's like, I feel something strange in the bedroom, or I think something, is down in the basement. And then I'll take his word and start setting up equipment in those key areas to try to capture something. And that's how we start the night off.
Cool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Now,
and what about you, Lisa? Do you tend to do anything before you go out yourself? So do you do anything to keep yourself grounded, or, is there anything that you like to do for yourself to feel that you're protected?
Yeah, I'm Reiki 1 certified, and so I have a little bit of energy work that I do, and then a little bit of incense that I'll kind of dab on my forehead and the back of my neck. And then if I'm feeling really needy, I guess, then I'll ask our metaphysicist. Yeah.
See, that's fantastic. Wow. Even I said that. Like, I didn't even want to say the name.
To assist, and a lot of times I'll ask him to assist after we've done the hunt.
Brilliant.
Awesome. I love how you're involved with Reiki and stuff like that, because I was actually interested in actually taking Reiki 1, and I wanted to actually, go up the ladder. How was your experience with it? Was it good, or?
Yeah, I think it really actually helps to open you up to the paranormal, and then it also allows for you to know how to close things, that you need to close if you do need to do so. I haven't done anything further than Reiki 1, but because I don't practice a lot, I'm not very, you have to practice daily, and I'm not one that does that very well.
No. Hey, no, it's all right.
So I haven't proceeded on to Reiki 2, because of that fact.
Well, see, I work with binaural beats, do you know what binaural beats are? Like, they're basically just frequencies, and they put on headphones, and then the frequency, like, say if it's 100 and 120, it'd be 20 or whatever hertz.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do that for like the chakras and stuff, and I've done it for a long time to open up the chakras and all that stuff, work on the third eye, and I've had amazing experiences, like out of body experiences, doing it during meditation and stuff, and it's been great to do, and I work with a medium very closely that helps me, teaches me how to like close things down and protect myself and all this type of stuff. So it's definitely awesome. But Jody, one thing I wanted to ask, Nana, do you want to have something you wanted to ask real quick? Because
no, you can. You ask your question, and we'll take turns each, mate.
All right. So I know you're very scientific. I could see it. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. I could feel it off you from the moment I met you, man, and I love that. Now you were talking about something with the gear that you were saying to Nando earlier. You were saying about the negative ions and the positive ions. What was that gear you were talking about?
Oh, you're referring to what we call our SPED, which is basically a it's short for standard PIT electronic device. One of the things I wanted to do was try to standardize all the equipment that the team members would pack on a home investigation or even a research site.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically worked on an all-in-one. I built a prototype, tinkered with it for a few years. And in the last few years, I've made them and hand them out to new team members so that they can get used to them. Basically, I hand build these from scratch. They have a negative ion detector, a positive ion detector, a RF waves detector. Now, it's not as sensitive as what you can buy over the counter, but if it goes off, chances are, you probably can hear a radio station with your braces on.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Of course, I hand build the EMF detector, and also, one of the things I wanted to put in the device, because most ghost groups, especially on TV and so on, they claim, look, we've got power drain going on. So one of the main things I put in there is a digital voltage monitor. So if we are truly getting power drain, we can actually physically observe it. And the standard drain for these devices are usually about 1 volt loss per hour. So if you start off with 9.3 or some volts, in an hour it should be something like 8, 8.1, something like that. So if you start getting,
that's a smart idea. I never would even have thought of that. That's a great idea. Have you had good success with it?
Actually, yes, excellent success. We've even I've installed a laser pointer in there, because more than once we've been out in the graveyard or something, and someone go, "Hey, look over there! You see that?" Well, that's not a very precise way of pointing at anything. So they've got laser pointers built into them that's got really good range, and they're really simple to use, and they're durable. Also, another thing I took into consideration is, if you have my type of look, anytime we schedule outdoor graveyard hop or graveyard hunt, it rains. So devices can actually take rain and so on. Yeah. My team tries to prevent me from ever scheduling anything outside. My narcissist says that's my paranormal ability right there.
There you go. Brian Laverty, the founder of Global Ghost Hunt and director, he just wanted to personally say thank you guys for joining the Global Ghost Hunt. He's watching, so thank you, Brian, for watching.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
What I was going to ask, so when you guys are investigating,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all relate to this. Like when we go to different locations, we get different vibes.
Right.
And the more we're in this field, the more you start learning about different like situations, about energies, entities, and things like that. When you're in a location, can you tell the difference if you've got an energy that's present with you that is a good energy, or something that could be something that's not, like something demonic? Have you ever crossed anything? And is there telltale signs that you've picked up along the years that you can tell the difference between a good and a bad energy?
I'm not much of an energy filler myself. Now, Lisa's probably closer to it. My metaphysicist guy, he's usually good about picking that up. However, I will say there's definite signs other than just feeling the goosebumps on your back and so on. You'll get weird power anomalies. We've had one investigation where literally one of our people, we came in, the purse was upside down, nothing in it. All through the night, we kept finding bits and pieces of her purse throughout the residence. And the power kept breaking down throughout the night as well. A lot of times I can gauge if something's really, really dark by the demeanor of the client that we go into a home investigation with. Some, I hate to say it, do need more professional help.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they don't have anything paranormal. That just means they might be exaggerating what's there.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I totally understand what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what'd you say, Nando?
What about you, Lisa? Do you pick up a vibe with different entities when you're out on investigations? Can you tell the difference between something good and something potentially not so good?
I haven't really been able to identify how to tell the good or not so good, but sometimes whenever we go to a location, my shoulders will get just a little bit heavier, and they'll start kind of achy a little bit, and then I know that there's definitely something with this, or with me even more. But I'm still kind of new at all of this, and still growing my
you know
own.
what? I tell you what, in this field, in my opinion, there's no such thing as an expert, and there, in my opinion, there never will be, because science will never look at this as a real scientific thing. I hope they do one day. I really, truly do. And from all the research that they've done with the CIA and certain things in the metaphysical world, they've proven a lot
Yep.
of stuff. But it just, I just don't think there's really experts in this field. So don't worry about how new you are or anything, because you know what, there might be something that you're going to teach me, like that I can take away from this, and that's why I love doing this. I love meeting new people, having this podcast. Like for you, Jody, what I was going to actually ask you was, one of the things that I'm trying to work on for a spirit box is using a frequency, something like trying to make a spirit box like how it's with the radio frequencies, but a higher frequency. Like me and a buddy were talking like VH, like going even like a TV type thing, VHF or whatever's higher, UHF or whatever.
Right.
But how to do that and get it into a scanning thing? Are we better off maybe just going into shortwave and doing it that route, or do you think that you can go higher and go UHF and all that type of stuff?
I think with our research, we definitely when you're talking about UHF and VHF signals, I believe the classic white noise is probably the best way to go in that respect. Okay. But with our research, it seems like the magic frequency is between 850 to 950 nanometers. Okay. We actually have on film and through other observations, shadow entities tend to not like those frequencies because it exposes them.
Yeah.
And we do have a couple devices that tend to draw them. It's still an experimental stage. We do have some energized crystals that work around 850 to 875 nanometer on vibration, and it seems to cause entities to stick with the pictures and some of the EVPs we've caught during some research investigations. But the higher the frequency, I think it'd be harder for the entities to control, in my personal opinion.
Really? Do you think, like, say if we were talking on a conscious energy level, right? Say that they're a higher vibrational being. Just say, right?
Yeah, right.
Higher vibrational being or a higher frequency being, wouldn't they have to lower their frequency down to use that spirit box to meet that frequency somehow? To do it, wouldn't that I don't know. This is all theory, but I'm just saying I would think that they would have to lower themselves down, because mediums always talk about how they have to raise their vibration and frequency higher to match almost where they are to get their readings and all this type of stuff when they connect. That's from what I've heard from multiple mediums. So I was just wondering, in that case, all theory obviously, but I'd love to hear what you have to say on it, because I would love to know more about what you're working on, because it sounds absolutely right up my alley, to be honest, and I'd love to learn.
Well, we don't exactly think our brain waves, or our alpha and beta waves, are literally measured in hertz, I believe, not in megahertz.
Oh, okay.
So our brain does put out radio frequency, right? Mm-hmm. So you would have to learn how to adjust those frequencies to match up through some sort of amplifier or modulator. Okay. Now, what's interesting is, have you seen those little Star Wars toys where you get to pretend like you're the Force by moving a little ball up and down?
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a hold of one, and I found at a local department store. By the time I got back to it, gone. And now you can find them on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money. But the whole idea is that would have been a great tool to help measure one's beta and alpha wavelengths as they came out by using a standardized calendar, per se. You can turn any tool into a measuring system as long as you have a standard. And that's one of the things I was wanting to do with that device. Until I can, I can still, EGG out of a hospital or something of that nature.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right. But I honestly believe that by us trying to, I think the entities, most of them are human or they are close to us. The Earth frequency is what, like 2.6 hertz, 432 hertz.
432 hertz, yeah.
Right. So honestly, if these entities are somewhat bound here, they know that everything runs on a way lower frequency.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, with our research and what we've discovered, the golden numbers is between 850 to 950 nanometers. And that also coalesces with a green laser, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. See, that's one of my main things right now is I've been focusing a lot on spirit communication, and they've been drawing me towards, for some reason, some like more about frequencies and about that. So that's why I wanted to bring that up to you and see what you've gotten, because I mean you have so much knowledge in this, and that's what I'm saying. This is the little bits of knowledge that I love.
I will tell you something freaky. I started this research back in 2014 with the discovery of the 950 nanometer. That's where I started, and discovered the variances with the shadow beings and so on, utilizing by energizing crystals with photonics and electronics. Right. Well, so I decided to go to Google, the almighty internet library. Right.
Yeah.
So I typed in energized crystals with light, thinking, or laser. Someone else has to have done this before me. There's no such thing as original idea, right, kids?
Yeah.
The first thing that popped up, the rocket machine. Look it up.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
He may be some distant kin to me. He was considered a charlatan, and he designed the device to help cure ailments and stuff. Very interesting stuff, and he believed that frequencies, higher frequencies, could actually heal the human body and so on through energized crystals and light beams.
Yeah.
Well, but when I get what you're looking at, the science side of the paranormal, which is great with the frequencies and everything, but drawing that back, do you think it's possible that it's not the frequencies that are getting the entities to come forward? Do you think it's a case that they see what we're doing with the technology that we're using, and do you think they're clever enough, or that they have the intelligence to understand eventually when we keep doing it, that they start realizing, oh, this is what you want me to do, I'm going to start doing it? Do you believe that we're building trust with these entities? Because I got a thing that we've gone to locations where nothing has happened. We've had very minimal stuff happen, like you hear footsteps and things like that. When we try and use like our spirit box, we explain to the spirits what you can do. Use this device to use it as a voice. Do you also think that the spirits could be watching us and they're learning as we're using these devices and using the technology, and then when we start building trust, they understand what we're trying to get from them, and that's how they start coming through?
Providing that they're the intelligent type of entities when you go into a location instead of a residual. I'd say most definitely. Sometimes I think they can be annoyed if they, if you see the same, different people coming in with the same thing over and over and over, eventually you're going to roll your eyes and go, oh God, here, not again. We had, a lot of these entities, I believe, were human, or at least close to being human. Shadow beings, different story altogether, in my personal opinion. The technology and them watching, I think they will eventually try. In fact, I've even got a pact with some of my fellow ghost hunters on different groups. If any of us happens to pass on, we're going to, be like, okay, you got to tap the K2 2 times to let us know if we just turn it on. It might be a tongue in cheek, but Houdini said the same thing. So,
definitely.
No.
And for you, Lisa, you use like you're learning to like the Reiki and using your own abilities. When you're out on investigation, do you have a particular thing that happens to you that makes you feel that there's something there with you, like a touch in the head, or do you have certain tell signs when something's there with you when you're using your Reiki on investigation?
Just with my shoulders getting heavy, that's really about it. And sometimes, I'll feel a little bit nauseous, but not often. But it's
I've gotten that. I mean, I haven't gotten that feeling before myself. Personally, like everyone talks about getting drained. I personally have never got drained before. So I can't really speak too much on it, but I know a lot of friends that have, and the first thing is they get nauseous. They their shoulders and stuff, like exactly how you described, and then they feel drained, like really completely out of it, drained. It's pretty wild.
I did have an experience not long ago at a home investigation where we were working with a demonologist, and they was kind of helping us. They were on the computer, basically. It was
they were boots on the ground for this demonologist.
Yeah, they were remote, and so we were hands-on for the demonologist. And so I was the one that was asked to do the blessing over the house. And whenever I was entering into the bedroom, then I felt a little bit dizzy. And then whenever I came back out, I felt like I was losing my voice. And so the next time that I started to do the blessing, then I raised my voice just a little bit louder because I felt that I was losing my voice. Yeah. And at that time, I went under attack, and I started getting loss of breath. And so they immediately, shunned me out of the house and it's like, go get out of here, And so
I just have a quick question. I have a quick question about all that. Now, you're new, you say, to the paranormal. What would make this demonologist be like, hey, I think you should be the one to go and go do the blessing? You know what I mean? I just have a question about that, because normally that people would think that that's dangerous, right? You would think if someone's new to the paranormal, don't send them into the lion's den. Well, what was the whole situation, though?
Basically, this case started out with my primary metaphysicist, and something, he didn't have his shields up, or something he didn't do right. He started getting really dark after the first visit. He started having cracks in his personality, let's just put it that way. So much so he's still on suspension from home investigations until he can get himself set right. And so I have, other people in the metaphysics department, and it's standard procedure that we don't send just one team member there. So I had to send in his assistant who works under him. And I had to send another female, which unfortunately fell down onto Lisa's lap there. So she kind of got drafted in on that one.
Yeah, and I was the tallest one of the two of us, and so the head, the frames were a little bit taller than what she was, and so I was the one that got to do it.
AJ, you're on mute, my friend.
The tallest one picked the shortest straw. That's what I was trying to
say. Lisa, just to ask, then, that experience, that sort of experience, did that throw you off? And did that make you? Did that scare you? Like being put in that situation, and with what happened to you, and then having to leave. How did you feel? When you look back on it now.
It did alarm me, and then I felt like that I had failed, because it was just the two of us at that time. But I knew
Jody's
that
like that. He's like, no.
yeah.
No.
But I was like, I had one job to do and I wasn't able to complete it. So, it kind of made me. But then I realized, that it wasn't all on me. That's not what it's about. So, but and if you can help just one person, then it's all worth it.
Absolutely.
And do you think it's made you stronger, like going through that now? Do you feel it's made you stronger going through that, and you feel more confident going into these sort of things now?
I definitely think that I will know more about how to protect myself, and maybe be a little more serious. Not that I wasn't serious, but maybe be a little more serious about it.
It sort of teaches you to be more aware of your surroundings, doesn't it? Like when you go through something like that, is
yes.
that the one thing I would say about the paranormal, you can't take nothing for granted, because things can switch up very quickly, and especially for someone like you need to. I think you need to be more on guard. Like for me, I don't necessarily feel things. I'm more, I would use the technology. I would use, think that's my way of trying to, document our evidence. But for you, it's got to set like. You've got to be more careful with what you're doing.
Right.
And you, Jody, with Lisa being in that sort of, sector of it, like based on everything, does that keep you more on guard when you guys are out on investigation, to keep a more closer lookout on her, just to make sure she's not being pushed to her limits and nothing's, going to put her in danger?
Well, I do observe my metaphysicists constantly while we're on hunts. Because especially with Lisa, when she gets really quiet and when she's not talking to her children, I see that they're messing up, and I observe changes in their mood and manner, and then that's when I'll approach them like, "Hey, how you feeling?" If they're a little too dark, I'll crack a little joke or something to kind of sort of snap them out of it. But yes, I definitely keep an eye on my metaphysics people. Now, my tech people, well, a lot of them like me, they're like rocks. Short of something coming out of the ground and dragging them across the field, they're not going to really notice it. So they're kind of like, electrostatic to a computer. If you have the thing open and you get a little spark across the processor, you've killed it. And that's the way I think of my metaphysicists. They actually, they're open and they can easily be attacked. That's why I noticed with my head metaphysicist from Case 155, he got dark and I had to call him off to the side. I'm like, look, dude, you're not performing properly. Something's wrong. We need to address this.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, one of my other skills I bring to the team is I'm very observant. And I always tell my people, regardless of tech, regardless of, your spidey senses, the best thing for ghost hunting is your own two eyes and hear and observe.
Definitely.
That's the most important tools you have at your disposal.
That's great. I've got another question. Am I right to jump in with another question, AJ?
Oh, do you?
I don't want to get told off by the boss of the show. So
that's it. You're out of here.
Now, with the paranormal field, we can all see it's getting more popular, as we're getting further into it. But something like with your own friends and family, I know these are you sort of touched on it earlier on, but when you told your friends that you're a paranormal investigator, you do Reiki, you must have the, what are people's reactions to you when you tell them about what you do?
You want Lisa to answer that, or
either of you? That's an open question to both of you.
Okay. Well, generally speaking, on my family, they think I'm going to call the devil out and go to hell. My family's very Baptist, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, and when Mom first found out about it, I was taking cameras and tape decks inside of Graveyard Hill. She said I was going, burn in hell for it. So and even now my mom she'll just shake her head and like, just keep dabbling.
Yep. I know that look, it's just that look you give, yep, with the shaking of the head, yep.
Oh, I get that. I get that as well. I'll go to my mum, and I'm like, "Oh, look what we did." No, you shouldn't be doing it. She said very clearly, shouldn't be doing it. So we don't have a lot of conversations about it. It's one of those things that she'll support it. She's happy for me to do it because I think it's good to socialise with people as well. It's a great way to do something different and socialise with people. But yeah, other than that, talking about it, that's a no-no with her. But what about you, Lisa? What have your friends and family been like with you when you've told them about what you do?
I don't talk with them about it a lot. I have one coworker that I talk with her about it a little bit, but it's not really something that we have in common, and so it's not really something that we talk about a lot. But I have got a couple other coworkers that I'll talk with, and they're pretty interested in it, and they're pretty supporting of it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's great. I mean, it's so amazing to see because, like, if you think about it, like 10 years ago, you would be a kook if you came out and said anything about paranormal, and now you could be like, "Yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator," and then someone else would be like, "Yeah, me too." Out of a room of 10, you'll get 30 other people that'll come in and be paranormal investigators. It's pretty wild, like how much it's grown, and it's good to see because these type of things need to be talked about. I think they need to be discovered, of whatever is going on, whether it be scientifically. Oh, we lost it for a sec. Whether it's scientifically we find out it's energy in a certain different way that we don't know of, whatever. Let's just find out.
Right.
And something for you, Jody. I think one of the problems with the paranormal is these TV shows, and TV shows, they paint a picture that something's going to happen all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that a lot of them point out that this is demonic. It's not always demonic.
No.
But my question is, going to the question, I'm a new paranormal investigator. I want to get into the field. Right. If there was, what would be, firstly, your advice to that new investigator, and what equipment would you say for them to start with?
Well, my first advice is: do you like watching paint dry? You'll go cross-eyed watching a laser grid on a wall for 8 hours straight. Yeah. You have to have a lot of patience. I'll tell them that when we get a new member voted in. We have a day of tech training. And with my team, I normally tell them to buy a digital camera for their first piece of equipment.
Okay.
Because it not only covers video, it also covers audio. So you've got your digital recorder with that. A lot of times I'll tell them, while you're doing an EVP session, have the camera tilted down where it's watching the K2 for yes, no responses.
Yeah.
But when, that's all exciting when you start seeing the day, things happen. But my team has very strict protocols on handling data with time indexing and directory. And in fact, I'm threatening my team now about another tech day because some of the younger team members have gotten sloppy with their time indexing. And they prefer a beating. Lisa's already hiding from it. But yeah. That's my suggestion for any new paranormal investigator. It's not going to be like Scooby-Doo. And with these TV shows, one of my bigger issues is when we go to a client's house that we've been called into, they're expecting, us to come in there and just, yell at these entities and act like we're possessed like several other hosts and so on. That's not what we do. In fact, you'll hardly even hear us talk. That's the biggest differences, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he just lost power.
Yeah, it's like he just went dark on us.
I know.
No worries on the dark side of the moon. That's it.
I got my own little entity in the house switching the lights off. That's Sarah. That's my wife. She thought. And just for you, Jody, the question I was Lisa. The question I was asking Jody was, if I'm a new investigator, what advice would you give a new investigator? So for you to be quite new to what you're doing, what advice would you give someone with what you're doing and how to get into it and what to do? I don't know if she heard me.
Can you hear us, Lisa?
That's a no-no then.
Tech training.
Oh, she's gone again.
No, yeah.
Okay, we'll ask that question. Oh, she's back again.
Yeah, no, I'm just seeing if that was maybe the case. Nope, she's losing service here.
No, that's fine. So yeah,
we've got quite a bit of rain and wind going on here in the tri-state area. So.
Oh, is that what the signal? So AJ, you got any questions? Because I was going to ask Lisa, but I'll move on to you.
No, yeah, no, I've been fascinated by the knowledge that you have, my friend, scientifically, and how you put it into your research. One of the things you just said was how you're going to kick some butt over, them time indexing and stuff. And to hear, the old school way of, writing stuff down and time indexing, whether it be even be on a computer or whatever, however way you do it, I find that awesome because, like I've always said from the beginning, I've been doing this like almost 10 years, and I always have notebooks of stuff, of everything. Like, I mean, I probably have notebooks like a mile high, like in my storage unit. It's ridiculous. But it's so great to see someone else do that because I don't see a lot of people do it or take it that serious anymore. It's just a hobby, which I don't mind. I don't mind. But seeing a team like yourself is just so awesome that you put the effort in,
Oh, yeah. Well, when we go back to a home investigation to show any data that we find, and we review it at our monthly meeting. We have a meeting the first Sunday of every month.
That's awesome.
And we review all the data. We discuss what each of us have found, and then we cut it out. We don't modify it or try to make it louder or anything like that. We just cut it out, and we'll put it on a flash drive to hand to the client. And that way, in case the client feels like we didn't do something right or they didn't like how we handled it, the next group that comes in, they can hand them that flash drive and go, this is what this group found. And they've got an actual documentation of what we did.
That's awesome. See,
just to ask,
that's the word right there.
You say you do the home.
Sorry.
Someone didn't like my voice then.
Yeah.
You say about the home visits that you do when someone needs help, which is great. But do you have a certain guideline or a certain, that you follow before going to make sure this is a legitimate case? Or because surely you must have people that might try and play the field in some ways, So do you have a guideline that you follow? You get a case. What is the protocol that you follow before taking that case on?
Well, our basic protocol, my case manager, she has a list of questions that she asks and ticks off. She'll also ask them if they have gotten any pictures or anything of that nature to go ahead and send it to us. And yes, we have been trolled at least 3 times. One of the first ones was actually a phone app that had a fairy that was in the picture that was misty. I was hoping they weren't trying to troll us because a lot of times I think people are doing it to just to say, hey, look at me. We've been trolled and they get very defensive. And the procedure is, a lot of times, my case manager, she's pretty good at picking up when someone is, blowing smoke. Catch my drift. Yeah. And usually our first visit when we go to a home investigation, That's why me and the case manager talks to the client as we go in. And if we, pick up some red flags on how they're acting or so on, we actually went to one where we're like, where's your TV crew? And we're like, what? Stuff like that, we instantly, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? That we have my other host, who's not with us right now, Todd from Relatively Paranormal. He actually has a show out in New Bedford, Massachusetts, on just a regular cable channel, and but he's very scientific. He doesn't play no games. Like it's a really good way that he's allowed to control his own thing. Like he doesn't have anyone telling him what to do, which is cool. So he does it very scientifically with the equipment that he uses and stuff, and he gets people he goes out to homes to help, and they'll ask him like, oh, well, is this going to be on the TV show? And he'll be like, what? Like, really? You called us out here for this? Like, we're really trying to help people, and you're making a mockery of this. And he gets so angry about it because he's really there to help people. And when he gets these people that all they want is this fame or to be on a TV show, it's just, it's sad. It's, but that's what the world is becoming, that 15 minutes of fame, unfortunately,
I think it's the TV shows. That's what I.
No, that's what I mean.
It is a pain, but even
the YouTube world has gotten kind of infested with a bunch of crazy stuff too, with the faking and making the paranormal field look a lot more, I want to say enticing than I guess it could really be. Like you said, staring at dry paint.
I was just about to say the way
paint drying. Yeah, paint
you
drying.
can be there for so long and nothing happens. You just got to be so patient. So if anyone's watching that wants to get into the field, it's like going fishing, isn't it? You cast your rod and you just got to wait for a bite. It's not going to be you get in there and then something's going to, you just got to sit there and wait until you get a bite. That's
How about this? The worst thing ever is I thought it was like going to be so awesome when I got more than one camera. So I got like 4 or 5 cameras, and I went to Montana State Prison. And when I had to watch all that footage back, 12 hours or 8 hours on each camera, I was like, yep, I'm never buying another camera ever again. I wanted to shoot myself.
Well, one of the worst things my team can do, and I really don't suggest this for any paranormal group to do unless it's absolutely necessary. We every now and then get a client that claims that something comes in while they're asleep, yanks the cover off of them or grabs them or something. So in some cases, we'll set up a camera to watch the client for 8 hours. That is probably, you see things you don't want to really observe during an investigation.
They forget the camera's there.
Yeah, and then, you hear them go, well, I woke up with the covers off me, and you can go honestly say, yeah, you kick a lot while you sleep, and so on. You can, but, you see and hear body functions you don't care to see. So, just fortify yourself if you go to do that for a client.
Brilliant.
Raymond just said, great show, everyone. Hit me up for an investigation. I'm in Greenup County, Kentucky. So that's Raymond. He works in locations department in Global Ghost Hunt. So I'm sure we'll be hitting you guys up for sure.
Thank you.
Might have something you might be interested in.
Ray, you hear that? All right, so there you go, Ray. Hit up Lisa. We all have the email, so we'll make sure that he gets in touch with you for sure.
Thank you.
And on the note of the Global Ghost Hunt, then, so you guys have signed up for the Global Ghost Hunt. Can you give us a bit of an insight of the location that you'll be investigating and why you chose that location?
It's the Haunted Majestic. Basically, it's a pair of barges are basically welded together out on the Ohio River. It currently serves as a haunted house attraction, but it has these barges. There's been my researcher and the owner. They were able to find the titles and do some pretty good research. They were built in 1912. They were part of the dredging effort to make the Ohio deeper. If you know anything about this area, a lot of the Indian mounds were really close to the edge of the river back in those days. So chances are, when they dredged through the river, they probably took a lot of Indian mounds with them.
Wow.
And then they were put to dry dock for a while. Then they got serviced in World War II. I don't know if you know this, but in World War II, here in America, they basically took any scrap piece of iron they could to put towards the war effort. In fact, several of the iron furnaces are out here from the 1800s got blown apart to get the little bits of iron that was in them out.
I didn't know that.
So they were put to use as support barges for the military, or the Navy, more precise. I believe they started life out as a berthing vessel. I don't know if you know what those are or not.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know offhand. Yeah.
Berthing vessels are basically when they're working on a Navy ship, they will take the crew and have them live on those berthing vessels while they work on the ship itself. Then it later became a hospital barge, which was the idea we actually stole from the French from World War One, believe it or not. The Americans did. Basically, it was a MASH before MASHs were a thing. If you docked somewhere, you could get your soldiers in. If the enemy was coming, you could quickly hook them up and take off with your wounded. That was the idea about these barges. It's speculated that they were part of the fleet that was preparing for D-Day. We can't 100% confirm if they actually made it to Normandy or not. But to be honest, you can't 100% confirm most vessels that were support vessels in World War II. You know how many PT boats were enlisted in World War II? There was something like 1,200, or they believed to be 1,200, but you can only find records about maybe 400 of them.
Yeah.
So records were sparse back in those days. Then it got retired after Nam or Vietnam, and became a floating restaurant for about 20 years. And it was owned by several different companies. But the creepy thing is where they were hospital vessels, they had freezers on them for bodies. Well, the restaurants, instead of buying new freezers, which are expensive, they decided to keep using the freezers for food and so on. So those are the original freezers on there. And if you look at them, the workings on them and stuff, you can tell they're really old.
Yeah, keep going, my friend, keep going.
Okay. So, they have a lot of history. They've been through and probably seen a lot of death. We have had paranormal activity occur on the vessels with voices. We've caught EVPs. Wow. We've had people touched, pushed. But for the most part, the entities seem to be welcoming. You know how a lot of times you hear people say, "Oh God, it said get out," and so on. Yeah. Our first investigation, when we was using our Obelisk M, you know what the Obelisk M is?
Yep.
It's the really old first model Obelisk. Yeah. And the pneumatic mode is just a bunch of like that.
Yeah, bunch of photos. Well,
we actually had an intelligent talk through that mode. Wow. Unfortunately, it wasn't caught because we had just literally that night used up most of our batteries. We had a high amount of drain. Yeah. And my metaphysicist, as the rest of the team went home, he's like, I really want to check this one room out. I just keep getting this feeling. So I was like, okay, because he was really wanting to go back down there. We went back down there, and this entity gave us a name, rank, a date.
Wow.
Which we were later able to kind of confirm with some records. But in the end, it begged us not to go.
Yeah.
It literally asked us to stay. And that is something you really don't hear a lot about investigations. People are like, yeah, we were told to get out or run.
I think it goes with the respect aspect, though. It depends how you go into it, because I've had really great. I never really get. I don't. I mean, I've never gotten get out. I mean, there's been a couple times at like a cemetery before they've understood why I was there. They were like, "Oh, get out," thinking I had bad intentions. But once I, for some reason, talked to them or out loud and state my intentions, they were totally different towards me. But going in with respect, and then you get some people that go in and you go to these places like you were saying in the beginning of the podcast, like you go in the same thing over and over. Like people think, like, oh yeah, if I do this, if I set off this light, this person's going to help me. And teams come in and out saying they're going to do certain things, and after a while, as a ghost, what would you be like? You'd be like, okay, they just want me to do circus acts. I'm just going to go sit here in the corner and be miserable. So I think with the respect aspect that you guys have towards it, I think that's why you guys have such a great connection when you go into these places. And also with your metaphysicist. Haha, got it, Lisa. But I was going to get it, the one part of the show, damn it. But I think it just has to go with the respect aspect of how you guys go about it. And I think it's really awesome what you guys do.
Yeah. That's great.
I want to ask one thing. Hold on one minute. What is both of yours? I'll actually ask Lisa first. Lisa, what's your most profound paranormal? You probably already told this, but what's your most profound paranormal experience with the group so far, being in this new adventure?
Well, I go out to watch my son shank a hand of an entity on on the first house investigation that we did. It was on the SOS. He actually shook hands with an entity. But then the other one would probably be whenever I got attacked as I was doing the blessing.
Wow. Yeah, the blessing. Yeah, I tell you, that blessing. I would tell you what, I would never do a blessing if I was first getting into it. So God bless you, girl. You are amazing. I'd be freaking out when I first started. You don't even know. I'd be a girl, Nando. I'd be running.
I'll be honest. I still run now. If something happens that gets to me, I'm off. If you ask my the team that I'm with, I'm the first one to be like, yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to go and sit in the hub and just chill.
Yeah. Hey, Emma. How are you?
Hey, Emma. But yeah.
One time I did threaten to run. We actually got some action on the Hunter Majestic whenever we was doing a tour. And it was, what was the, Jody, help me out.
Yeah, he's lost too.
I think it was the temperature. It was the temperature gauge, wasn't it?
I was talking about the spring spots and the temperature gauge. Yeah, you guys.
Was off. It was turned off.
Right, and it came on out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm done.
Wow, yeah, that'd be freaky. Definitely. How about for you, Jody? Out of all the scientific stuff that you've gotten over the years, what is your most profound piece of evidence that really made you maybe question the science aspect? Have you had any experience like that? And you got a visitor behind you.
Yes, I
love it.
Serious.
He was over your shoulder the whole time. It was great.
Yeah. That's my stairway. Yes, dude. Yeah.
Gave you a hug and left. I like that.
I think the scariest, honestly, or the most profound for me was the night we was at the Ramsdale in Cedar Canova in West Virginia here. We rented the place out for a night, and the owner, and this is like midsummer, the owner told us to, just to turn off the lights and we're good. Well, throughout the night, we kept smelling some electrical burning. My case manager at the time, Tiffany, got really sick. Just kept having to run outside to, take care of business. And even my my investigator, Tim, the guy that's not afraid of anything, he was jumping and just was skittish that night. Once again, I was like a rock, just like, okay, guys, what's going on? And finally, the lights got, and the power in the house got so low, it couldn't even keep the netbook we were using to keep data on turned on. And it had me so concerned. I went downstairs, pulled the main fuse. It didn't have breakers. The big old bus fuses that they used to use. Because at the time I was like, yeah, I do not want my team to be accused of burning down a historical site in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And we made sure we called her, the owner of this place, the next day. They called an electrician. And according to her, which I checked in a week or so after that, the electrician went out there and somehow this guy said in his 60 years of working in electricity, he has never seen a meter box burn exactly halfway up. It literally just slowly was burning the electrical grid out of that house that night.
Oh my God.
Something obviously didn't want us in there that night. Now, mind you, the Ramsdale, I don't know if you know anything about Ramsdale House here.
Unfortunately, I do not. Please enlighten me on that.
Basically, Mr. Ramsdale, who was a shoemaker, decided to build his home close to the river because the river is a main throughway to, through Mississippi and all that. So he decided to build his house as close as possible upon this little mound next to the river. Well, that mound happens to be an Indian mound that the basement literally goes right through. And it's when it floods, it'll go up around that house, but not in it because where they built it.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of eerie things that goes on in there.
They don't know the explanation of why it does that either?
We just believe that the reason it doesn't go in the house is simply just higher than the river basin there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say why all this weird stuff is happening. Is there like a vortex? Is there something that's going on in the area, like geologically, or?
It is built on an Indian mound, and they usually don't like to be disturbed.
Yeah, you did say that. Yep.
Yeah, other paranormal groups have claimed there was a vortex. We didn't get any detection of that, but we do get strange energies, strange items. Literally, you can move. You'll go into one room, come back in, you'll see the chair moved. And it's like these entities know when you set up a camera because they won't do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love that. Always when you have a camera, they don't want to do things, but the minute you accidentally stop recording, it's like you get the most amazing stuff, and you can't prove it to anybody else. It sucks.
Right. Ramsdale's good for that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Nando, you have any other questions that you'd like to ask Jody?
Yeah. One question. If Brian's still watching, I've nicked it from Brian's show.
Okay.
It's a Lex question, but I think it's a really good question. So you're given a bag of money, right? So money's not an object.
Mm-hmm.
If you go anywhere in the world to investigate somewhere, where would you go and why? Cool.
Yeah, there's so, one of the places, if money wasn't an option, one of the places I would like to check out, and I can't think of the name off the bat, but there's these orbs in Russia that seem to come out of the ground. It's in Siberia. And supposedly there has been several expeditions out that way. And before they even get within 50 to 60 miles of it, the teams report being sick, emotional distress, and so on.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to go and investigate that.
That would be awesome. Siberia has some of the most creepiest things from all the stuff that I've read about and things.
No way.
oh, it's just it's such an amazing, mysterious place, to be honest. I mean, I wish it wasn't super cold because I'd love to visit, but I hate the cold, so I probably will never visit.
Well, in the spring and summer isn't so cold,
Oh
but
no.
there's a severe mosquito issue out there.
Oh yeah, no. See, I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm good. Two things
And
I
what
hate: cold and bugs.
and what about you, Lisa? Is there a specific place or that you would like to go and investigate?
Probably one of the Ireland castles.
Oh, that'd be
And I
cool.
don't know any specifics when, but I just I've been seeing and hearing a lot of things about Ireland and some of their different castles and things.
Well, if you want to contact, if you ever get to Ireland, hit up right
Yeah.
from Emerald Isles Paranormal Researchers, and she's got some amazing places in Ireland that
Yeah.
you know she's got some great locations over there in Ireland.
Yeah.
Cool.
Loftus Hall and yeah,
Brilliant.
Loftus Hall and all those places out there. Yeah, beautiful places. Ireland, just a beautiful place in general. I mean, when we had Patty Negri on, she had just come back from Ireland, and she said that there was a fairy farm or fairy whatever you want to call it. And she said it was unbelievable what they saw, and I was like, "Wow, I gotta go see this," you know. And then Brian just said Lemp Castle, another one. But yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Both places that you guys said were absolutely awesome. Nando, where would you go?
Where would I go?
Yeah, if you had all the money.
Where would I go? Do you know? I would love to go to Italy and do a paranormal
We're
investigation.
just there.
Yeah, I know, but that's a family holiday. Look,
you don't pack your equipment on holidays.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
You don't pack your equipment on holidays.
No,
I
had my mum with me as well. So
Oh,
I can't. You don't cross my mum. If you ever meet my mum, you don't cross her. Like, if that's one, the two women in my life that I would never cross is my wife and my mother. That's it.
That's an Italian man right there.
You know, enough said. They're worse than the men. You know, I'll tell you, they're worse than the men. So, but no, I would love to. You know, I think there's some great places. The Colosseum in Rome. I think that would be an amazing place to investigate. You know, would I be able to get in there? Very unlikely, because Italy is a very religious place. You know, a lot of Catholics, so I don't think they would be. You know, they wouldn't open the doors. They'll kick me out of the country, but I don't think they would welcome me. But what about you, AJ, as well? Is there anywhere that you would like to go?
You know, you took the one I was going to choose, because we've had that conversation before, and I told you about the Colosseums and stuff. But really, I don't know. See, from having Robin always on and you out in the UK, always talking to you guys, and you guys always want to come to the US, but I want to go out that way. I want to go to Ireland. I want to go to the UK. I want to go to Germany. I mean, you know where actually I would love to go, and this means no disrespect to any of Holocaust survivors, but I would love to go to the camps of those places, because if there's any place where there needs healing, it would be those places. And if there's spirits that do get trapped, that would be a place I would think that needs people to cross over and to really help. And if there's something that I can do in any aspect of that, I would love to go to those unfortunate Holocaust places and see what is there. You know?
Yeah. One of our team members actually went to Auschwitz back in 2015. She's an archaeologist by trade. So she brings back some pretty interesting stuff and pictures and things she did. And she said as soon as she entered the living area, she said she could smell the sweat that was still ingrained in that wood, and felt like 100 eyes was on her. She said she couldn't stay in there longer than 5 minutes, because she just felt like people were just wanting her to get them out of there.
I can't imagine. The energy would be horrible, because I'm sensitive to certain energy, and that energy would probably really bother me inside for sure. I would have to really protect myself if I went to those places, because the negative there would be surmountable for real. Brian just said, AJ, there's a place in Italy, a town. He said, can't remember the name. every night they hear a woman screams every night, and they can't locate where it's coming. Have you ever heard of this, Nando, by chance, of this place?
No, no, I've
I'll
not
have to
heard.
look more into it, but
We had an investigation similar to that
okay.
at Woodmere Cemetery. It was like 2:30, 3 o'clock at night. I was with a different group then. They invited me along with them, and we heard a little girl screaming. Well, this graveyard is kind of close to the bad part of town in Huntington, so we thought someone actually had a little girl. And we split up. We had walkie-talkies. We triangulated it. And as soon as we came across this one grave that had toys on it, the screaming stopped. And it was a little girl's grave, which was kind of eerie. I had my team researcher do some research. The child died at 8 years old. She was brought in from China. The disease was unknown. They just said she died from unknown viral disease. And when we do EVP sessions and we're there, we will not get any EVPs done if there's any males around that gravesite. It has to be an all-female group that does it. But the screaming, we think the entity likes to play hide and go seek like a child would.
Yeah.
So that what kind of sort of prompted me. We've had a lot of interesting investigations through the years, and it seems like almost when I hear one thing, it brings me back to something else we've done. Or seen.
Yeah, well, hey, I look forward to seeing you guys for Global Ghost Hunt. Please, before you guys go though, please shout out the place again. Shout out your name, where they could find you guys at. If there's any social medias or that YouTube that they could find you at, please do that for us so that they can learn more about your team. And if they need help, reach out.
Okay. Well, the place we're going to be hosting at for the Global Ghost Hunt will be the Haunted Majestic. The website's simple, www.hauntedmajestic.com. Its Facebook page is www.facebook.com/grave, GRAVE 7463.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Would you guys come on again for us sometime?
Sure.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate it because there's so much to talk about. I mean, Jody, we could be on here for 3 hours talking about science stuff because I'm telling you, man, like this is all I research all day long, so I love it.
Our team meetings usually last anywhere between 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, see? There we go.
Yes.
Hey, I love it. Lisa, thank you so much as well for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing how your journey keeps going as well. So I'm going to definitely keep in touch. And if you guys ever need any help with anything, please just let me know. I'll always be here to help. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Cool.
Thank you. You guys take care.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys.
Oh, man. Such a good show, dude.
Yeah, really interesting. Two different sides of the paranormal. You got Jody with the tech side of things, and then it's great to hear from Lisa. She's quite fresh into it all, and she's still developing and learning. So it'll be great to catch up with her in the future and see how her development goes and what she learns going forward and how she grows. So really exciting to see them back on, and like we just said, to see their live for the Global Ghost Hunt. That would be amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be awesome to see them for the Global Ghost Hunt. And, I love the two sides that they have because, Jody, his intelligence, I could just see from the moment he came on the screen, man, and in between us talking, I just got this feeling that he was is very intellectual, very intelligent. He knew what he talks about. He knows what he talks about, and he's dead set on it. And I tell you what, from hearing his scientific side of this and the things that he's developed, like things that he created, even just as simple as an EMF detector. I mean, I can't do that type of stuff. You know what I mean? I wish I could. But I tell you what, to be able to have the power to do that and the ability to do that, the things that you can harness like he has, like a voltage meter he was talking about, that is so fascinating. And this is the type of stuff that's game changing for the paranormal field. And I think that this is really why I wanted to do this paranormal podcast from the beginning, because of this reason. We're learning from so many different people, like Jody, like other guests. I've learned from you. I mean, I learn from you every time we talk, man, and you're a friend of mine. So, even though Lisa said she was a beginner in this, I tell you what, she's taught me stuff with the Reiki stuff. She's taught me stuff about I'm never doing a blessing ever again after that. No, but it doesn't matter what level or you are or how long you've been in this. I mean, I learn from everybody, and I think that that's the main part of this.
And I think what's important is, as you said as well, it doesn't matter what level or how new you are, that none of us are experts in the field. We can have opinions. I can get Jody. He's got a lot of intelligence and a lot of knowledge when it comes to the technology because he's taken the time. But when it comes to the actual paranormal and understanding the entity, we're never going to know for sure. A lot of it is, I think we will only know for sure what's on the other side once we've reached our final destination here, once our time is done here and then we cross over, that's when we will find out what's actually on the other side. But it's just a great field to be in, and it's absolutely fun. And the most important thing is just enjoy, just have fun with it, take it seriously, but enjoy it at the same time.
Absolutely. That's all you can do, man, is you just have to have a good time with it. And you just have to, take as much as you can with a grain of salt, and just, take the wins and, just keep moving forward. So
definitely.
But want to say thank you to Mandy Miller, Carlos. Very awesome to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. But this was an awesome show. Look forward to Global Ghost Hunt. The first events are coming up in May. So go to www.globalghosthunt.com. You can register for October. Get registered. Get ready. It's going to be awesome. Head over there. We have a bunch of teams. It's going to be so amazing for May. So it's going to be great. And Carlos, I like that you dropped by. I'm happy that you did. So thank you. But Nando, thank you so much, brother, again for joining me.
That's all right. Anytime.
And until next time, there's another episode, Talking with the Source.
Take care.
Later.